Welcome to Midsummer Screen. Two locations in the world rival the legend and lore of the Winchester Mystery House, located in the San Francisco Bay Area. As preparations are underway for its spirited centennial celebration, we are thrilled to have some of its keepers of the iconic estate with us to share some of their exciting plans. Please welcome to the stage Director of Marketing, Natalie Taylor, Director of Operations, Michael Taff, and General Manager, Walter Magnuson.
The biggest fear is getting into these directors' chairs. Well, hello, everyone.
Hi.
We're so happy you're here. And I do have to mention that my son and my wife are sitting in the front, and he just lost his tooth about 3 minutes ago. He loves all things spooky, so I think that's a good omen, hopefully. But welcome, we're so excited to be here. We're so happy that you are all here, and we have a lot of awesome things to take you through today. Winchester Mystery House, I'm hoping every hand goes up. How many people have been to Winchester Mystery House? Oh my gosh, look at this. Wait, there's a few, it's mostly in the middle here. Oh, all right.
I'm going to play a quick video for them, actually.
Yes, let's kick it off with that.
Road trip. Video one.
Road trip.
Yes, please.
In this hall, there are hundreds of doors. Doors that bridge this world and the next. Doors that unlock a grieving widow's secrets. Doors to what has been hidden for over 100 years. Doors that open only to those brave enough to wander through these dark halls to unlock the mystery.
Well, I think as most of you know, our story begins, unfortunately, with Sarah Winchester's passing. And this year marks the 100th anniversary of her passing. She passed September 5th, 1922. But even before her passing, there were a lot of stories in the media speculating and just very, very curious. And this is a story which is from, I think, 1911 in the New York Times that talks about Sarah Winchester and that there were some odd things going on in this house and the spirit world was warning her. And we really find this fascinating because we have an ever-growing archive of things of Sarah Winchester's life, and to see the stories and the way she was talked about when she was alive before the house even opened for tours is always very interesting to us. And as I mentioned, she did pass, and you can see on the right some of the early stories about the way this house was constructed, which giant ant hill. I'm grateful that didn't really take on resonance beyond that. But so she definitely did not always have the most favorable coverage in her lifetime, but we all think the world of her, and we really want to commemorate the 100th anniversary of her passing with a life celebration and something really, really focused on the special woman she was. So this year we're putting together some really special ways to celebrate her, and we're going to have some very cool ways when you visit the house to really celebrate what an amazing woman she was. So we're still sort of finalizing that, but it'll be a very special tour. You'll get something very special when you come visit. And we also are working with, she was from New Haven, Connecticut. And has anybody been to New Haven, Connecticut? Oh, look at that, that's awesome. It's so beautiful. And if you really are interested in learning more about Sarah Winchester and your travels ever take you near there, I would recommend visiting because it is the most beautiful location. There's so many things that are still there that were from her time. And it is her final resting place at Evergreen Cemetery. And it's an absolutely beautiful place. And they are also going to celebrate the 100th anniversary of her passing with a very special ceremony in New Haven. And we're honored to take part in that. And just to that point, in New Haven, she was very, very philanthropic, which a lot of folks don't really focus on. They more focus on some of the more eccentric qualities she had. I'm trying to keep track here.
It's a ghost. I keep not clicking it.
I can talk quick, but not that quick. But her we're hoping with the 100th anniversary that we can really focus on a lot of her philanthropic efforts, because they're really beautiful, including the founding of a hospital in her husband's name, which is still there, and it's now part of Yale. So a lot of folks don't know that, but I think very, very special. Now I think it's not good. So daytime, we'll be having the tours with some very special remembrances of Sarah, and at night we have invited back James von Prague. Does everyone know who James von Prague is? He is a medium who really, really, really loves the Winchester Mystery House, and we're honored that he's going to come back and actually do a very special seance and tour in the evening hours.
The slides just keep advancing and I click them back. I'm sorry.
I wish James von Prague were here, because he
Something's
could
watching us.
exercise whatever's wrong with that clicker. So this will be a very, very, the last time James was there, he not only felt Sarah's presence, but also a number of other people that may or may not still be there, and shared a lot of details, and I found that fascinating, including the children, and the fact that seances were in the witch's cap, and a lot of different things, so I can't wait. So this will all be September 5th.
We're making jokes about spirits, but James did see quite a lot when he came back in, I think, 2016 was the last time he came to Winchester. So we're really excited. He's kind of coming out of semi-retirement to do this event for us on September 5th. So details about that will be on our website soon. It will be very limited and very VIP, but exciting opportunity for those that are interested to come out and, try to connect with Sarah. I'm not even touching it. This goes back to spirits, right? So one of the things that we hear a lot is, we've been doing our mansion tour for over 100 years. The daily mansion tour really focuses on, can you help me? Focuses on, becoming comical. On the house itself and the oddities that are in. Sarah's story, how she came to be in San Jose. But one of the things we don't really talk about is the background of spiritualism and the Victorian era, and how, this idea that Sarah may have believed that the spirits were haunting her because of, the Winchester rifle. She was sort of seen in modern day as sort of being an eccentric of type, but really when you look back at the Victorian era and her time, spiritualism was a very big movement. My husband's trying to do tech, thanks babe. It was a huge movement in the late 1800s, the American spiritualism movement. The Victorian era is where you get a lot of traditions that are around death and mourning, including the wake, the Victorian dress, and that black veil that Sarah wore throughout her life came out of that time frame. And so this year we're really excited to launch this new tour called Walk with Spirits, and if we could play the video for that would be amazing.
Winchester Mystery House invites you to step back in time. The all-new Walk with Spirits tour will challenge beliefs, pursue the paranormal, and try to unravel the mystery. Tickets available now at winchestermysteryhouse.com.
So what's exciting about this is that, again, we haven't really had a daily tour. We've done some Friday the 13th flashlight tours. We of course do a Halloween show, but we haven't offered this for our daily guests. And so this is a tour that can be done on its own. You can come and just do the Walk with Spirits tour, or you can combine it with our daily mansion tour. And the feedback, we just launched it this month, July 7th, and the feedback we've gotten from our guests has been overwhelmingly positive. They're really interested in that spiritualism movement. There's an opportunity to sort of demonstrate what it would have been like to do a Victorian seance. So again, something to consider coming to, no, it's not forcing. Go to the next slide. Oh, so I'm not using this anymore? Thank God. So yeah, we're really excited about this tour. We hope if you are up in the area, you consider coming and seeing that different part of the house. You get to go on the 3rd floor, which is purportedly the most haunted area of the house, as well as the basement, and maybe see our very famous wheelbarrow ghost. Next slide. This is you, folks.
Hello again. So as we look back on the last 100 years, I'm always taken with all of the ways that Winchester Mystery House has seemed to inspire, creative types, and it's always fascinating to me to take a look at all of those things and sort of, Disney's Haunted Mansion is a great example, but there's so many other things that it's amazing, and we sort of put that all together in one nice sizzle, which I hope is next.
We'll rehearse next time.
Winchester Mystery House.
Are you familiar with the Winchester House?
In San Jose, California, stands one of the largest and most bizarre private residences in the United States.
Hi, how you doing? I'm Jason from Dabs.
Nice to meet you, Jason. Welcome to the Winchester Mystery House.
This place is incredible. Can we get a tour?
Definitely, come on.
It's a gargantuan 7-storied structure with no apparent rhyme or reason.
Closets with no space for storage, and stairways that lead to the ceiling.
There are doors that open to 12-foot drops.
House of endless hallways, winding stairways.
Sarah Winchester came from a family of rifle makers, Winchester rifles.
Legend has it that because she inherited her fortune from the Winchester rifle, that the spirits of souls killed by that rifle were haunting her family and cursing and causing all these tragedies, like her husband's death, her baby daughter's death.
What she decided was that she would never be done building the house, and therefore she would never die. And so what I liked about it was the idea of a house that starts to build itself.
This house was built at a time when there was nothing around here, and in the middle of this starts appearing this extraordinary construction.
And that starts with ceasing work on the Winchester Mystery House here.
What if it was built as a giant puzzle, one that protects a vast treasure that still lies hidden behind one of the house's hundreds of walls?
The dreams and the construction stopped when Mrs. Winchester died on September 5th, 1922.
I can't stop thinking about this location. So ladies and gentlemen, we are returning to the Winchester Mystery House.
All houses wherein men have lived and died are haunted houses.
There's more than secret passageways here. There's secret spiritual portals.
Do you believe in ghosts, Dr. Price?
Did you Yeah, that was. I heard that too.
In case any of you needed a reminder, this place is a twisting nightmare. That's just a hallway. Shut up.
I called out, "Who's up there?" And no one answered.
Doors have closed on me just randomly, opened on me randomly, windows have shut.
It's behind you, Jimmy. I just heard it.
It's a wonderful place, wonderful people, and you guys have made it delightful for us being out here.
Believe it or not, Ghost Adventures on this episode of Ghost Hunters.
On the season premiere of BuzzFeed Unsolved.
we are very, very lucky how many people are interested and inspired by this house. We continue to host film crews almost monthly. There'll be some new shows that you'll see this fall. The next month or so gets very busy because everyone wants to come in the fall to film. But we'll continue past our 100-year anniversary of just getting more and more of these types of film crews and inspiring people about, inspiring people. But I know you guys are all here for one thing, and that's Halloween, so I'm going to kick it over to Michael to talk all things Halloween.
Thank you. So those of you who followed us, the past couple of years, we've tried a number of different things with Halloween just due to the pandemic, and this year, I'm very happy to say that we're kind of getting back to our roots. A lot of feedback we've gotten from our guests is that they want us to go back to being scary. We have a very cool, real haunted house in a sense, which is pretty cool, so we're not building that thing from scratch. So we are announcing the return of Unhinged, which is one of our more popular shows that we produced back in 2019. With this year's, there will be Nightshade's Curse, and to help me tell you more about this year's show, let me bring to the stage Mr. Scott Levkoff, Mark Street, and Ron Hill. A little plug, Mark and Ron have a very cool haunt in the Hall of Shadows this year, so go check it out when you're done. All right.
COVID safety.
All right.
You tell me. No, I'll tell Natalie.
So this year we're bringing back some classic characters and some all new ones. Those of you again who are familiar with the show, we have our wonderful wheelbarrow ghost who's been a staple of the house since Sarah's passing back in 1922. We have our bride, the swamp hag, Edna. Next slide. Little Annie, Headless Helena, and the Caretaker. So we're bringing back a number of characters that we've used over the years, both in the Unhinged show and previous shows. Kind of claimed our history a little bit with this year, and a bunch of new characters as well. The story's a whole new story, and we're doing both a really cool outdoor and indoor show. So we'll entertain you and give you lots of fun entertainment shows and games to play before you head into the house. And we're trying some new things with the house as well. For the first time, we'll have 2 routes, so you'll be able to not necessarily pick, but we'll pick for you. But you'll split off on your route through the house, and we're making much more use of the house than we ever have in the past. And again, this show, if you want scary, bring your Depends, because my goal is to make it as scary as possible this year. And we're working with a lot of great partners to really bring this show to life. We're producing it in-house, but we have a lot of local talent, some other area talent, including Chris and Gina from Hollywood Haunters that are helping us out and building some things down here. You may have seen them on YouTube showing off their wares. Mark and Ron are building us some items, and Scott is going to be producing our outdoor show as well. So the biggest new character this year, and the namesake of our show, is Madam Nightshade. Next slide. So to tell you more about Madam Nightshade and how she has come to the house and become the key feature of this show, let me kick it over to Scott.
All right, thank you. I just want to say thank you, Natalie, Walter, Michael, Sarah, Winchester, for being here. I'm really thrilled, really honored. This is also a secret. This is my first horror convention. Can you believe it? I'm always working. I've been in show business my whole life, so I'm always producing shows. I've always wanted to come to one of these, so I just can't believe all the enthusiasm and the crowd. It's fantastic. I'm just like, oh, it's so great. So I'm so excited to be invited to create content, immersive content. I've been working on, next slide please. I've been working in San Francisco for 30 plus years as an immersive event producer, designer, and as fate would have it, my mother was a spirit medium. So I grew up with the Spirit Channel, and it gave me a very strange unusual, unique perspective on life. And of course, I found out about the Winchester house at a young age. And I was very curious to kind of corroborate any kind of information or reality around what I experienced as a kid, which I didn't tell anybody. Because, I was like a lonely, gloomy, lonely child reading weird fiction and Lovecraft like in middle school. So, of course I was bullied. It was a secret of mine. So being here now to celebrate her life and to celebrate the realm of the spirits and tradition, which I very much respect, it's just really, it's such a great honor. So next slide, please. So I started doing spooky productions many years ago. There's a tradition in America called spook shows, right? They were around for decades. And they basically, magicians would found a good dime in producing midnight shows right before spooky films. And I'm really interested in exploring and celebrating other traditions such as the medicine show. Next slide, please. Oh, right, well, yeah, so exploring traditions such as medicine shows, the spook shows, and of course exploring the movement of the spiritualists and mediums, which, on one hand, as I experience, is a very real phenomenon. And on the other hand, is absolutely a business. So what we are doing brings us to Unhinged, Nightshade's Curse. So I'm producing Madame Nightshade's Spirit Carnival, which takes place on the grounds of Winchester and positions Mrs. Nightshade, Madame Nightshade herself, this very intense, mysterious figure that's obsessed with contacting, collaborating, and commanding the spirit world. So she does this several times nightly with the help of the audience in an attempt to open and bridge the worlds. Next slide. So here you can see some influences, medicine shows, weird tales. I just love these little pulp stories and weird tales, astounding tales when I was a kid. And here's one of Silkeen's spook show posters. This is probably from the 50s or 60s. Next, please. And here we see Madame Nightshade herself commanding the infernal spirit machine. It's this bit of kind of weird, spooky technology that she's developed in an attempt to further open the abyss between the worlds. Next one. Here we see some old periodicals that we found from the late 40s. Next slide. And here we see the Spirit Carnival. Madame Nightshade's commanding the spirits with the help of the infernal spirit machine. The guests all join in, everybody's invited to join in this seance and bring through a host of phantasms that will then lure the guests into their house and to their doom. Next slide, please. There we go, we see see the infernal spirit machine. Actually, it goes way back to the 40s. We found one actual working machine. You can see we found some schematics here and some artistic interpretations of the phantasms coming through into this world. And I think that does it. Next slide. Oh, there we go. Okay.
We'll really see that. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that very good. So putting together a show of this magnitude takes a lot of work, and we started working on this really right after, on the heels of last year's show ending, knowing that we wanted to do something bigger and better and kind of try some new things. The show restarts, oddly enough, not with a story, but with a route. I think kind of a loose idea what we have to do in our heads, but kind of around through the house, so this kind of gives you an idea. I mean, we're talking about 25,000 square foot house over 4 different levels that we have to traverse through. And with this year doing 2 routes, we couldn't have those routes intertwine or combine or meet. So that alone took the better part of, just kind of figuring out and fighting over what spaces we wanted to use and not use, and how we're going to get people here and there and entering this way and exiting that way. So that's been a big challenge. But once we did that, then we kind of put the bones of the story together and just kind of built it from that. So the story's evolved quite a bit over the past several months. But again, I'm super excited to what we're doing this year. Next slide, because I forgot what it was. Look at that. And here's a nice little concept art piece of one of the scenes that you will see in this year's show. Our lovely taxidermist who is making some things for you to experience on your trip. And to talk more about the show inside the house, our masters of FX and props and all things haunt, Mark and Mark.
I like it. I'm gonna make the kids at the haunt call us Master Ron and Master Mark. Thank you. And to echo what Scott said, such a pleasure to be back with Winchester for our second year there, and bringing in a creepier, scarier version is just so exciting. The fact of being able to work in the house. And basically start off as home haunters and grow and grow and grow to the point where we're getting a chance to work with this amazing team and the history.
And this amazing place.
And the amazing place, absolutely. So as Michael said, one of the inspirations this year, and Scott, the Spirit Machine and the Spirit Tonic is driving all kinds of crazy things to bring an already creepy haunted house to an even scarier level. And one of the earlier scenes actually within the mazes this year. So I think we've got a few more.
It was just us, that was a slide of us where we came from doing home hunts until we started doing zoo productions and museums, and ultimately our goal is to be here at the Winchester because we've always loved it. And there are challenges working in the house because it is a historical location, and you can't just drill a stud here to mount a light. You got to work around preserving the house, and it comes with huge challenges. This is a nice slide of the before and after. We worked with the house last year, and our whole goal last year was to make the house come to life. This year, it's also going to come to life, but with a whole bunch more frightening characters involved as well. So this was the attic, and you can see the before is the more brown slide. That's pretty. That's the way it looks. But then we had to put an infinity mirror in there and make it come to life. And so that was one of the awesome and spooky things. In fact, we're bringing that effect back this year, I think, aren't we? So with a twist. With a twist. You always with a twist. Do we have a little slide? Yeah, there we go. So there's some more. That's a great example of the one with the mirror in it because we had to extend hallways, but we had to extend them to look like the house used to. So we had to use lath and plaster walls and historic wood to, not from the house, but from other places, to extend the hall and make it fit right in. The other slide there is a prime example of us bringing the house to life because that is the furnace, but it's hard to see there, but the pipes burst and scare the tar out of everyone as they're walking by that furnace, and so that's a piece of the house that we had to bring to life. So it was a lot of fun last year. It's going to be even more fun this year because we've got twice the path to work with.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun to be able to take existing architecture and then try to match it and hide things in plain sight. I think last year in the first week of setup, we had made a bunch of modifications to the basement that's there on the right and to the kitchen, one of the kitchens. And we told Michael, hey, let's go see what we're doing. And he didn't realize we had done anything, which is exactly what we wanted. So that things just blend right in until they don't.
It was great. We worked for hours, and then Michael came in the room and said, "Oh, you didn't do anything. I don't see anything here." And then we turned the effect on, and he was shocked that we blended it in so seamlessly that a guy who works there every day didn't even know what we did. So.
Yeah, tour guides were telling us all the time, those walls on the left, that they kept walking past them thinking, something seems different in these rooms. There's 20 extra feet of wall in these rooms that you normally don't have to walk around people. So it's a lot of fun to do and challenging working with the tours going through the house, obviously. Very minimal amount of work can happen during the day. At night, we spend all night in the house working, which is spectacular. For anybody that's at a haunt convention, you can just let your imaginations run because it's
you're completely alone in the entire house and it's pitch dark.
Really amazing. So it's been a pleasure to do. And the house does have its own personality for sure.
Oh yes, oh yes. Doors that are closing, that no one was in those rooms. You hear the floorboards creaking like people are following you. You get used to it. In fact, a lot of the texts that we would use when we were up there were talking frequently to the ghosts around them, especially the wheelbarrow ghost in the basement. He made a lot of noise.
I think we have one more slide.
I think we did have another slide of the.
Okay.
Well, I think what makes our job, my job as a marketer, so exciting is that we have found these amazing partners that are super respectful of Sarah's house and our tour department and our daytime tour guests. To their point, you know, they work in the evening because we are running a full daytime tour operation. So starting August, September, October, the operations and tours department are not only you know, managing a couple hundred guests a day, but also, you know, helping these guys do all the install at night. And just, again, we're very excited to bring back this show. It was very popular in 2019. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, we weren't able to bring it back at the level we wanted to. And so this year, we are so excited to be able to really invest not just in the tech, but also in the actors and storyline and the outdoor experience for guests. So if you do come, please think bigger than just an hour-long tour. This is a couple of hours of experience on the estate. Spend time in the Midway for Madam Nightshade's show outdoors. There'll be food, drinks, all that fun stuff, of course, and then the walkthrough experience of Nightshade's Curse. And I wouldn't be a marketer if I didn't throw out that I did use some in-house talent for our video for the show this year. One of the characters is little Mary, and she's in the front row. She's actually my daughter. So you gotta use what you got, right? So I would like to play a quick video just to show you guys a little sneak peek of what to expect for Unhinged Nightshade's Curse. She worked for some Roblox money, I think is what it was. We also do have, we were so grateful, we have this amazing artist that is here at the show, Andy Scazzo, and he did all of these drawings of the characters. So my three kids are walking to the back. They have a copy for anybody that wants to grab one. There's a little card. I don't know why they're going in the back corners. They're splitting up. There's three of them. They'll hand you out something. If you go to booth 789, Andy has graciously said he will sign it for you if you'd like. So that's a takeaway from us. Next slide. Really important stuff. Show starts September 30th, runs for 13 nights. We're very excited. The website is winchesterunhinged.com. All the information is there. And next slide. And yeah, well, thank you so much for coming. We are here to answer any questions. And for all details, follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and any questions?
Yes.
So if you're running the tour during the daytime, how much of it goes through the area that you're doing for the night show? Does it interact or overlap or whatever?
Yeah, they do overlap. I mean, the house, as big as it is, we use a lot of it for both our daytime and nighttime tours. So one of the challenges in building, we typically do a lot of it at night. There are some spaces that we'll build in the daytime. And part of the design process is really how the two coexist. So how does the nighttime tour coexist with daytime so we can open up doors and still have the paths be the same. So it's challenge to coordinate, but if you're on the daytime tour, you will see some of the scene settings because you're going to go through those. We'll make them as pleasant as possible. And then there are some other areas that we fortunately are able to keep kind of off the main tour route. So it's a challenge. They both take up the same spaces pretty much.
And one nice thing to add on that note is that because we have two tours going through at the same time, there are so many interesting places in the house that you don't see on the regular tour that we included in the night tour. And we were shocked when they gave us the map because we know all the rooms because we've explored them relentlessly. But there are so many rooms that are amazing and beautiful that people don't normally see that you will see on this tour. And so it's sad that it's dark and there's all these elements because the rooms are amazing. So it's something to look forward to for sure.
Anyone else? No questions? Yes.
Because we attended this panel, is there any chance we get first dibs?
Well, you're the first ones to hear about it, absolutely. We will send out an email, and if you want to give me a quick email to our marketing department and say, hey, we're interested in tickets, we'll put you on the list to get first information on when tickets go on sale. Oh, yeah.
So, he kind of touched on it a little bit, but those of you that spend a lot of time in the house, could you share some of your paranormal experiences?
Oh, I have one. I've worked there for 5 years. I actively try not to see anything. We'll be honest, I stay in my nicely lit office, but I am there for evenings and filming sometimes. But I was actually talking about, in my office, talking to one of my coworkers standing in the middle of the marketing office, and was talking about the wife of someone who had recently passed away and saying, oh, I just feel like this charity that she works with are really just taking advantage of her. And as those words came out of my mouth, there's this snow globe on my coworker's desk that flew off the desk. And it was a Winchester Mystery House snow globe. And I was like, oh, that was really weird. And we weren't anywhere near it, and it was not like a shaky part of the house. So I was kind of like, okay, yep, he heard me and he had something to say about it. So that's my story. I don't know, Michael, do you have any good stories?
I have a few. I've been there almost 6 years. Probably mine was during the pandemic. We were basically watching the house, for lack of a better term, for 24 hours a day. And there was a point where I was carrying some things out of one of our buildings, and the door opened for me. And not like a crack, but like a good 18 inches, 20 inches. And I kind of stopped for a second and was like, okay, that's odd. And I just said, thank you. And I kept going through. And again, people have all kinds of experiences through the house. I haven't had anything malevolent. I don't like being there by myself in a giant house because that's just creepy. But nothing like scary terrifying. But that was probably the weirdest thing I've had.
Yeah, a lot of our tour guides and maintenance folks are the ones that have the most experiences because they are in spaces where there are no other guests in there. They're there before operating hours. Lots of hair pulling, skirts tugged, like your name being called. That's mostly what our tour guides tell us. And we've walked through with mediums, we've walked through with psychics, and it's interesting that a lot of them say similar things that are things that we haven't ever really talked about in public, experiences that people have had in the house, and then a medium will say, oh, there's a spirit here and they're saying this, and you're like, oh, that's weird because, a psychic said that a couple of months ago when they visited, and we just keep it in-house, so, and we also get a lot of emails and a lot of photos in the marketing department of people, what they caught on camera. They want to know, do you think that's a spirit? I always say I'm not a photo expert or a ghost expert, but I leave it to you to interpret it, so.
Yeah, I've had a number of things happen, stories I've shared, mostly, windows slamming shut and footsteps and that kind of thing. But something happened recently, which was, so for the daytime, we really never ever fabricated anything. We never put anything in the house, effects wise, anything like that. It's Sarah Winchester's house. We take it very seriously. If people have weird experiences, it's not the caretakers. Halloween, obviously, we can have some fun with the nighttime events, but for Halloween particularly, I'm pretty obsessed with scents. So some of the scenes that might lend themselves to having a scent, you know, we really, and recently I was walking through the house and I smelled, you know, overpowering floral kind of funeral-like smell, like just really, really powerful. And we had just had a meeting with Michael and Jessica about scents for a nighttime event. So I was like, oh, well done, that smells really good. But they didn't put it in yet. And it was so overpowering in sort of the first few rooms of the house, that front parlor. So that is a new one for me. But it's never been, you know, like malicious, scary. It's really a welcoming vibe. Hopefully those of you who have visited have that feeling. I've never wanted to run out screaming, you know.
We had a fun one too on one of the nights we were working, but I'm gonna let Ron tell the story because it happened to him.
So one of the perks of being a haunter is you don't get scared as easily necessarily. You know, you kind of know all the tricks. And I'm not squeamish about being in the house at all. So I just love it. But one night, one of our crew and I were walking through the kitchen, and he was very jumpy. And we're walking through the kitchen, we heard a voice. And he was standing slightly behind me. I thought he was just screwing with me, you know, trying to get a scare out of me. And he freaked out. And I really didn't think anything of it, because again, I thought he was kind of just, you know, trying to mess with me. And then we went up this year for the site surveys and to start doing the walkthroughs. And we're talking to a new security guard, and he says, you know, did you guys have any experiences? No, nothing really major. You know, I have a sense, although you ring a bell as well, but I always thought they were part of the house. That's an interesting one. So I'm really excited by that. But so he goes, yeah, I've only been here like 3 months, and I was walking through the kitchen, and I heard a voice right behind me that sounded like radio chatter. And it was like 2 a.m. That's exactly what my experience was, is it sounded like radio chatter. I thought it was like my buddy on the phone or a crew member on the phone. And so as soon as he said it, you know, the dots connected, and it's like, oh, okay, that was actually an experience. So it's really exciting. Now I'm ready to go back and, you know, bring on some more. So
we can tell ghost stories all day.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? Oh.
I've never visited. What tour or event should I start?
Oh my gosh, great question. So I always recommend the mansion tour. It really does give you a good sense of the house and Sarah Winchester's core story about, you know, sort of the tragedies that kind of befell this woman that made her start building this amazing structure. You see about 110 of the 160 rooms on the estate on that tour. And then I would recommend, if you are into the paranormal and all things spooky, to do the Walk with Spirits tour. Again, it's not a scary tour, but it definitely gives you a better sense of that other part of Sarah Winchester's story, because there's sort of 2 ways of thinking of her. It's either that she, you know, was a wealthy woman that had tragedy happen to her and sort of fell into the ultimate renovation project and built this amazing house. And then there's that spiritualism piece of it that I think bears it's a really good part of her story. So I think both, but if you're a first timer, definitely the mansion tour.
Come in October and do it all.
Yes, come in October, do 3 tours.
Alrighty, any other questions? Yes?
Yes, I wanted to know, are you still going to be running the Houdini escape room during the October, not just on the weekends, but during the weeknights as well?
I think, you know, people could book that in advance. I don't know if we've locked the schedule for that. It definitely, we try and have it available. I know weekends. Do we know if it'll be during the week?
Probably on Halloween nights, if we can do it. But
Yeah. So I'm sorry I don't have a great answer for you, but it'll be available whenever people want to buy tickets to it. That's a good way of saying it. It is awesome. It's Houdini visited in 1924, which a lot of you probably know. So we have an escape room experience, which is great for groups based on that visit. So it is very popular. Any other questions for us? Yes?
When will the wake tickets be available for the anniversary?
For September 5th?
Yeah.
My goal is to have them up next week. I'm just finalizing the contracts with James, but we should have something within the next 2 weeks probably.
Great. I think we answered all questions.
Yeah, and I would just say again, stay tuned, stay connected. We do have a lot coming for the centennial. It kicks off September 5th, but there's going to be so many more things we haven't quite been able to announce today, but really fun stuff coming.
And we're so grateful to be here. We've been here since year one. So thanks to Rick and David and the tech and interpreter and everyone and all of you. So thank you. Please come visit. Thank you.